About 12 years ago, I had a dream to start a magazine with my husband. It was a radical idea at the time because so many magazines were going out of business. I had the great opportunity to feature so many celebrities like the Florida Georgia Line, Carrie Underwood, ZZ Top, Robert Redford, Kristen Chenoweth, Christian Siriano, Naomi Campbell, Emerald and Alden Lagasse, and Ashley Longshore. I just stand back in awe of what has occurred over the last 12 years. When I look back on it now, I'm still shocked. I just can't believe that it happened. And though I didn't start off successful, I just started with a vision and a dream. I'm so grateful that I've been able to walk this journey. I'm so lucky that I live by the beach. It is such a good place for some soul searching and some reflection, and it always brings me back to basically the beginning and how grateful I am for everything that I have. Hello, my name is Lisa Burwell, and I'm the founder, creator, and editor-in-chief of VIE magazine. I relocated from Boston, Massachusetts to take a position at Seaside to be the director of marketing for the Merchants Association. I honestly didn't think I was going to stay past my 2-year contract, but then I met my husband a couple of years later. And his grandfather founded Miramar Beach, just down the road, so he had a family legacy of being here. And he grew up in Saudi Arabia, and they would come here for the summers, and they just absolutely loved it. So it was near and dear to his heart to, put his stake here and put roots in our area. I was in love with him, and so I stayed, and I built a business.
It's always a beautiful thing whenever you see God bring a husband and a wife together in a teamwork situation within a business. One person's strength covers the other person's weakness as they understand how to yield to one another. The Bible tells us that when two people come together in agreement, that the whole is stronger. And so they've had one another to lean on and to rely on in their faith journey in building their business as well.
When Lisa and Gerald got married, they were a perfect pair. And when I think of those two, they have so many broad qualities. And one of the first things I think of is integrity.
We own a marketing and advertising company called Cornerstone Marketing, the Idea Boutique. And it served us very well financially and creatively for the first 14 years that it was opened. It was opened 27 years ago. And my husband had a thriving architecture practice.
She had been very, very successful with Cornerstone Marketing. To just brag on her a little bit, she was very widely decorated, widely awarded for the great work that she had done with so many different major companies, major corporations in the area with Cornerstone Marketing.
Nearly 12 years ago, we were met, like many people were met with, somewhat of a life-altering experience where, the sky kind of fell out and money was not in abundance and a lot of people were losing jobs. And the marketing company was also experiencing a decline because several of our clients weren't doing well anymore and needed to, finish out their contract and let us go.
When the difficulty came with the stock market, all those advertising dollars suddenly dried up. And so she went from being a very successful marketing firm to suddenly having to figure out how to pay her staff and how to keep the lights on of her company.
When the recession hit, it was like the faucet was turned off completely. At the time, we were contemplating closing the business and just starting from scratch and going to plan B and see what we could do with our careers.
I went home to New England to spend Thanksgiving with my family, and we were talking about, oh, we're going to have to lay people off, and is this the end? You know, we have no other choice. And I just made a bold commitment and statement that came out of literally my heart and jumped out of my mouth, where I said, we're going to make a magazine. And my husband said,
"What do we know about doing a magazine?" And she said, "Well, it can't be that hard. I mean, we already have a big background in the 3 of the 4 major components, which is graphic design, writing, and printing, which is something that marketing companies do all the time."
So I thought I had the assets and the tools and the people to be able to do that.
I think her rationale made so much sense to me that I agreed to move on and support the decision.
Making a magazine is very, very difficult. So sometimes ignorance is bliss, and maybe if you really knew how hard something was going to be, maybe you actually would not do it.
I laugh when I think about Lisa telling me this story, because she kind of said, "Lord, maybe you didn't really understand what I was praying about. I don't even have money to pay the bills, and now you're telling me to start something completely new. I know nothing about starting a magazine." So she was kind of perplexed about that in the beginning.
When I really understood that, I thought that that was an idea that God planted in me in New England that Thanksgiving, I did start praying about it and asked what the name of the magazine should be. And then in a dream, I was seeing the letter V, and then I said, I don't think that's the right thing, but I do believe that that was a prophetic God dream. And then I felt led to go to the dictionary and look at every single word under the letter V.
She started paging through and she found all these wonderful V words, valiant and victorious and virtuous and all these great V words. And then she found this little tiny word, VIE.
VIE, which in English means, to compete and to strive. And that's not what I wanted, but I felt led, but in French it means life.
And what she discovered is that God was actually speaking life into her business that was dying, and speaking life into the dream that she had to be a woman with a voice that could actually change culture. And so God spoke life into that, and that was the birth of the magazine V.
I had put a little prototype together to explain to people in our community what we were doing, and that I would be selling ads. Dave Rauschkob, who's the owner of Bud & Alley's, he was one of my bosses when I moved here to Seaside, and it's so interesting because right where we're sitting right now, on that desk right there, he walked down the hallway and he handed me a check. And I said, "What is this?" He said, "I want to advertise in the magazine that hadn't been made yet because I believe and know that it's going to be good." And it only echoed back what rings in my ears a lot, and that is that a good reputation is better than gold and rubies, and that always, always, always care about your reputation more than anything else, as it's the right thing to do, and it will also serve you very well.
I first met Lisa 27 years ago, and we became immediate friends, and we loved working together on the Seaside Merchants Association for several years. She approached me about this magazine that she was going to do, and I thought that that was just the most wild thing, and she told me all about what it was going to be and everything, and I was like, well, I want to be the first advertiser. I knew that she was eminently capable of doing it, but I had no idea what V would become.
When the first magazine went to press and I knew what we were doing, I was nervous and wondered what I had done, and hoped that people would like the magazine because it was very different from other magazines. And then they did. It's a testament to people that they do want to hear good news, and they do want to learn about other people doing fantastic things. But the everyday person that's going out there and living their dream, or starting a foundation and working their own dream like I worked mine, I find them fascinating. Andy Szynski, the artist who's located here in Grayton Beach, when you go to the studio, you'll see that he's just such a unique and fascinating artist. Very different, it obviously is coming from his own creative source because it's not anything like you've ever seen before. Bright colors, the style of his art is quite intriguing and impressive.
VIE has been very inspiring to me and very motivational. So before getting together with VIE and doing the article, I felt like I had a pretty good thing going, but there was always just like this lack of confidence. I never really felt right. I was never really comfortable with the work I was doing. And then after the article they wrote about me, it just kind of changed my perspective on myself. It gave me a lot more confidence. The way that it was written, it explained to me stuff about my personality and my work that I hadn't really even, thought about before. Just definitely gave me more of a brighter perspective on the work I do and the person I am.
Featuring him in the magazine, his business was exposed to a new clientele. He was able to sell his art to new people, and that changed sort of the energy and the dynamic influence in his business. He just had a good momentum building experience and told me about it, and it moved me. Probably more than he will ever know, because that probably gave me another 1.5 years where I never even questioned doing the magazine because of his one story that was so impactful to him and meaningful, and that it made me know that I was doing something meaningful and that I could keep going and I could keep on my journey because I knew that it was inspiring or helping or hopeful to other people.
I think VIE really impacts the community because we get to showcase all of these underdogs, whether they're different creatives or artists or singers or whatever they are, and we get to showcase them not only to everybody here, but we get to showcase them to the world, and we kind of are just like the foundation of like where their career can go, and just the success story that we hear from all the people we feature is just very rewarding, and it's just really sweet.
I think that one way that VIE really impacts the community is not only bringing stories from all over the world into this area for our readers here, but also telling their stories to the world, because we have readers all over the place who learn about what's going on here and all the great artists and chefs and restaurants and hotels and everything that's going on in this community. So
I think VIE magazine impacts the community in several different ways. One example would be we were involved in South Walton Fashion Week for 3 or 4 years when they had it here, and we were able to bring the models up and sort of like expand their career where, they've been able to go up to New York and they're signed on with modeling agencies, and we've just cultivated a nice relationship with them.
My most memorable accomplishment to date is hard to pinpoint into one, because we've had so many fascinating experiences and met so many wonderful people near and far. But I would have to say our third magazine that we published 11.5 years ago was when I got to put my mother on the cover, and she's a cover girl. And it was a photo taking of her when she was 16 in Ireland, and I always loved it as a kid and thought she was so beautiful. And I wanted to honor my mom with being a cover girl, so we had a Mother's Day issue. We never had one since then, and it was kind of radical to have a magazine centered all around, appreciating and honoring mothers, but that's what we did, and people really liked it a lot. And the week that the magazine came out, my mom had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and was in the hospital up in Boston, and I had got to mail her the magazine. So she was giving the magazine out to nurses in the middle of the night, and they were asking for her autograph. And so it was a really big deal to me to be able to honor her in that way. And So many other great, momentous things have happened, but I would have to say, near and dear in my heart, that would be one of my highlight moments.
Lisa has many amazing qualities. I think that one thing that really stands out, and everyone you meet will tell you this and they know this, she's one of the most generous people that you'll ever meet, and she wants to help everyone that she meets. She's treated like family from day one. She's just been a great person to be around and really inspiring for us and for the community as well.
She has many, many great qualities. She, as a boss, is very professional, but is also a friend and very caring and supportive.
Lisa is very resilient, and she doesn't turn down a challenge. And that's one of her strongest character traits, I think, that she always striving for success and just does not stop until she does succeed.
I think one of the greatest qualities about Lisa Burwell is that she absolutely will not quit. She has a determination and a perseverance that regardless of the challenge that comes, Lisa is going to see her dream through to a place of fulfillment.
Teamwork is everything in a business, and no man is an island unto himself. And in the creative field, you have to have a creative team, you have to have like-minded individuals on your team, and you have to have people that have somewhat of the same passion that you do, and that is what I've been blessed with. I know every single day that I cannot make this magazine on my own, and I don't make it on my own. But it's also the handiwork and the passion and the excellence that the people on our team has as well that keep that magazine alive, because it's also their voice. I have my voice in it, but they have their voice in it too.
I think that teamwork for a magazine and a company like ours is number one. Like, you can't get anywhere without this team that we have here, because everyone brings something new to the table, and we all bounce ideas off of each other, and you can't create something without having all of the graphic designers, the editors, people coming up with ideas, our web team, social media, and then also our freelance team that are not here in the office every day, but we have writers and photographers all over the world that we work with.
I believe that my family has been a big part of the magazine in more ways than one might think. I mean, the obvious would be, people being supportive and, being a fan and, cheering you on to make it to the finish line. But in my instance, several of my family members have actually worked for the magazine over the last 12 years, and some still do.
Not only as my boss, but also my aunt. She is a great role model to look up to. I've always looked up to her like she's like my own mom my whole life. She is very loving and patient and generous to everybody that's ever encountered with her. She definitely loves to help others, and whether they're the underdog or they're first place, she wants to just shower them with love and acceptance.
One of the things that I've always appreciated about Lisa is that not only does she have a heart to see the dream of VIE fulfilled, but really as a good leader, she has a great desire to see dreams unlocked in others and to see her do whatever it is that's necessary to help build a platform for people to see their own dreams come to pass.
We've been able to grow the magazine, and we've been able to grow advertisers, and we've been able to grow our content. And every city that we go in, people like the magazine as much as they do here, if not more. I knew when we were on the right track, when we would journey out beyond these walls, that the magazine had not only a heartbeat and a pulse for this area where we started, that it had it elsewhere as well. And because we use such good paper, we have very long stories and rich photography. It's the same paper since the day one, and it's high quality, and it's not what other magazines are doing now. But they were doing it then. And so when you see VIE on a newsstand today, it stands out even more than it did before. Not only because we've evolved and we've become better because we've done this for 12 years. It stands out because everyone devolved their brand and we kept our brand. So every magazine that we create is like the first magazine that we created, but we're always pushing the envelope to get better and better and better. If you don't keep things fresh, and if you don't keep things alive, and you don't understand what people want to hear today, and that what they don't want to hear from yesterday, you cannot stay in this business. It's a living, breathing entity. When I first saw one of our first covers in Times Square, I think the emotion would be a level of surreal, which really is unreal to see it there. Unbelievable.
I think that everybody needs to find their passion. Maybe people aren't passionate about the same things, but everybody should have a passion, something that that stirs them, something that makes their heart beat fast, something that causes them to get excited on the inside. And you'll know when you find your passion because you'll have all of those kinds of reactions, and it will help you to have joy, and it will help you to have a capacity to press past all the difficulties that you may have in pursuing after your dream.
Dreams are everything, and everyone has to keep dreaming. And you know, when we're children, you know, they have such imagination and they dream big and they think big, and the world is set before them, and they think they can do anything that they want. And somewhere along the road to adulthood and beyond, I think so many people lose their dreams. I think the one gift that is the most important gift that God has given me is my ability to still have a childlike imagination and childlike faith, and to be able to keep dreaming big. And without it, I just don't think you are ever going to be able to achieve anything. And you have to have it, but mostly not just to achieve a goal or a dream or success, but to still maintain a vibrant aliveness that children have, and a happiness and a joy. And I think having a dream that blends with hope and faith and walking in your calling and your destiny and what you were put on the world to do gives you the joy that you need to actually be a happy person. It's not just about like being a successful business person, it's being a successful person. And a successful person is a happy person or a fulfilled person. And don't forget that it's so important to still dream.
Dreams, God gives us dreams for us to believe in the things we see. Faith to believe that the things we see are part of our destiny. Don't be afraid. Be strong, for now is your time to dream.
And that's how you view a dream.